The Cheech and Manny show is
Yo,
back. Um, this is the Cheech and Manny show. What is happening? All our fans out there, thank you for joining us and tuning in. Just want to give a shout out to the People's Bases. As you know, or you should know, yesterday was this man's birthday.
thank
Yeah,
you.
this picture that Joe shared behind me. Joe has he's very fond of this picture. Um, but gonna throw it to the my co-host. Happy birthday, Cheech. What's going on, brother?
Thank you. Not much, man, hanging out. Another night, a Thursday night of our podcast marathons. Um, I'd like to do just a quick shout out to my brother-in-law, Rob Dominguez. If you live in Portchester, vote for Rob. He's running for his second term on the Board of Education.
Nice.
So yeah,
It's
so
cool. I
he,
was looking at that page. I think your sister shared it on your page and you shared it.
yeah, yeah.
I didn't know he had all those. It's crazy how we had him on.
Oh yeah, yeah. He's now, he's amazing person, amazing father, amazing bass player, husband, and now amazing politician. He's in politics. He's a Renaissance man, Rob. So, so vote for
Bass
Rob.
player, right?
Phenomenal bass player. Yeah,
Oh, well, vote for Rob.
yeah. What was it?
Um,
Vote. What was that? Vote for
Vote for
I was
Pedro.
yeah, exactly.
That's what you need. Vote for Rob.
I always think that when I say vote.
Ugh, idiot.
Yeah.
uh, what is it? You gotta get skills. Nunchuck skills.
What a weird dude he was.
What a weird thing.
Oh my God.
Talk about a psychopath prototype or in
Oh
training.
yeah.
But anyway, all right, we're gonna go back to our esotericism. I made that
Yes.
word up so people don't bash me. But we're gonna take it back to an esoteric topic. We sort of I texted Cheech about this and the metal table spoke to me, right? The aura, the metal table inspiration. And I thought, wait, let's talk about the ego. And if
Yeah.
ego is your enemy,
Exactly.
right? And then this led us to think, okay, then we need to figure out what exactly is the ego from like a lot of perspectives.
Yeah.
Now we talked about the will, we talked about free will. Obviously religion, we went a lot on it, discuss the topic yeah, extensively. So please go check out our religious episodes. But now we're going to look at, I guess, in a way, look at what exactly is the ego.
Yeah.
All right.
Hmm.
And is it your enemy? Like what exactly is going on
You
here?
could make it your enemy. You could make it your friend. You could tame it. It's a lot of work and a
And,
lot of spiritual work.
and if I can mention your words, do what I will.
Yeah.
Okay. So in there he was talking about the will. But it'd
Yeah.
be interesting to see because is the will and ego the same thing? Are they different?
I, well, we're gonna talk about
Yeah.
that, but I think the ego controls the will. The ego controls everything, my opinion. And I don't know what
Now,
school.
Cheech, can we know it exists?
Um, I mean, now you're getting your Socrates on me. I love it.
But we're gonna explain this in the episode. So
Yeah,
come on, tune in. Uh, open up a cold one if you want. Get some coffee going, and I'm gonna jump in into is the ego your enemy
exactly. Or your friend,
or your
you
friend
know.
or your friend?
Right. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is I wrote this where I'm gonna just throw questions out and we'll just discuss and
Yeah.
that kind of thing. So what is ego? Okay. So just the textbook definition is a person's sense of self-esteem or self-importance. That's one form of ego. The positive side, healthy self-worth, confidence. Everybody's ego. You want to be, confident in what you do. When I pick up the bass, it's a little bit of ego where I want to be good. I want to show that I'm a good player. Is that bad? No, it's good. It's the good side of the ego. If I'm like Jocko, I'm going up to people saying, "Hey, I'm Jocko Pistorius. I'm the greatest bass player on the planet." That's all ego. That's the other side of the ego. You know what I mean?
Mm.
The
Now,
neg,
now, in that definition is the ego, like most people know it, where like you have a big ego.
yeah, 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 yeah. The negative side, um, implies arrogance or conceited. A big ego is a person that's overly self-centered or believes they are superior to others. Now, some people get a pass on that, like Jocko. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if Jocko is saying, I'm the greatest bass player, I am Jocko Pastorius, I'm the greatest bass player in the world. Is it his ego or is he telling the, is it a fact? You know
Mm.
what I mean? So that's, that kind of thing. Um, so those are the two, unless there's another meaning to the ego. You have anything else you want to throw in there?
Well, okay. Um, okay, so those egos that you just mentioned is what most people think of ego.
Yeah,
They think of it as sort of your, I want to say like you said, like self-worth, and does it correspond to reality, right? So
right.
that's how most people, and I guess this would be sort of a good starting point, like you said, with Jocko having a big ego.
Yeah.
Okay, it's true because he is considered one of the greatest bass players in history,
Right.
right? So
Or Muhammad Ali, the
or
great
Muhammad Ali.
boxer.
Now, the
Yeah.
only thing is again, but is that your only definition of ego?
No.
That's the starting out point.
Yeah, this is a starting point, referring to your self-esteem and your self-importance. So if somebody says, "Hey, you know, I don't know, you look like shit today," you're like, "Oh my God," your ego's saying to yourself, "I do look like," you look in the mirror, "I look like shit. Oh my God," you know what I mean?
Right.
Um,
Well,
but with somebody with a strong willed ego would
yeah.
say, "Fuck that person. I don't give a shit. I look good." You know what I mean?
Well, that would be now we're gonna go into more because I guess the one perspective is the everyday psychological usage, right? So this is the
Right.
layman's term where we
Yeah.
say that you like you said, it refers to someone's self-worth. It refers to a self-assurance as well. Like if you have an ego, you're pretty confident.
Yeah.
And also one's conscious sense of identity. So, like you said, with the Jack of Stories example, is that the greatest bass player, and you know it, you're going to say, I am the greatest bass player of all time.
Right.
That sounds a little hubristic and cocky and prideful. And one will say, this guy has a big ego. But it's true. That
Yeah.
being said, it can be distorted, and maybe many people can have big egos, but it doesn't correspond to reality.
Right. Right. Right.
You know,
Well,
like
for Jocko, it did though. I mean,
no, no,
that's
no. Let me give you an example. Like priests have big egos, but they're really useless at the end of the day.
right. Right. Right.
Right.
Right.
And I'm talking about temple priests, not,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
you know.
Oh, yeah. Oh, there's one in particular with a huge ego.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Like if Jesus, I mean, and it's kind of funny, just if I can make a quick Jesus thing here. Jesus says that you need to actually humble the ego.
Yeah.
That's going to be another thing where and there's a good starting point because a lot of us, I think, have our egos.
Yeah.
Very rare the person that's humble. One of the key virtues in like Christianity that we'll teach is humility, right?
Yeah.
And Rush even quoted that the meek shall inherit the earth.
Yeah. I love that
So
quote.
you gotta, and we'll lead to kind of like, do we destroy the ego? Should we extinguish it like fire, like how a fire blows away from a candle,
Yeah.
like the Buddhists teach?
Or
We're
do
gonna
we
get to,
tame it
right.
like a
So like
lion?
this is the starting point where we were saying, like everybody has this, and we'll move forward here.
Okay. The psychological meaning of conscious self, the Freud ego, is a functional part of human personality.
So now see that's different now because now what Freud did, it's different from what you just said before.
Yeah.
Freud didn't believe in that ego you're talking about.
He didn't believe in that.
No, he had a different idea. So now you're taking us, I'm going to go here, the psychoanalytic view,
Yeah.
where he came up with this very creative theory. Like he's a genius in terms of what he came up with.
Yeah.
Now, is it true? I'm not sure. But um uh he invented this like structure of the unconscious, right?
Yeah.
And the ego is at the center. But
Yeah.
it's different from that everyday usage of the psychological usage of what you started out with this episode.
Yeah. So Freud came up with the three system, like I'll
Of
just
the
say
unconscious.
right, the mediator, It acts as a referee. The ego is the mediator. It acts as a referee that balances your primitive impulses and desires. That's the id. The moral standards and consciousness is the superego.
Hmm.
Id, ego, uh, and superego. So you have your id, your ego, and then your superego. You want to talk about that a little bit in depth?
Yeah, so what he did was that there is a world within the unconscious, right? Everyone has this. And what psychoanalysis or his theory of psychoanalytic theory of the ego was that if you have this, everybody else has it.
Right.
That's pretty brilliant because it kind of solves a problem in philosophy where how do we know other minds exist if you can't escape your mind? So
Yeah.
Kant tried to respond to that, and Schopenhauer. But in this case, we got the id. The id is animalistic, instinctual, and
Yeah.
it wants things now. So, for example, it wants sex, food, drink, drugs now.
Right.
And that's what this is what Freud came up with. You have the ego, which is sort of like the center. The ego is the between in the unconscious.
Right. Between the id and the superego.
Right. And what it is that it will start to sort of form depending on how much you let the id or superego dominate. And
Right.
then you have the superego, which is the moral center. And this can change depending on what morals and ethics you take on. Okay.
Right.
So, and the goal of all of this is to understand like what happens when there's somebody that is not functioning psychologically well is because of these unresolved conflicts between these states of mind,
Right.
right?
So like a superego and id is off feeding the ego with false information or wrong information, wrong input.
Yes, yes.
Like let's just say a chessman, going back to
Yeah.
Roy
Yeah.
Harper, episode. Chessman was all fucked up with his id ego and
Oh
super
yeah, that
ego.
that dude is effed up. And it's crazy because then society, um, in a way, and maybe the judicial system let him down. But yes, um,
And we're talking about Carl Chessman for
Carl
those of you
Chessman,
who
yeah,
ever
from
heard of him.
this interesting fellow. Um, but the id you can also think of as the instinctual child. It's very childlike, according to Freud.
Yes.
I'm not saying like I
Yes.
agree with this, but according to Freud, it is it wants immediate gratification of its needs, and famously hunger,
Yes.
obviously sexual urges as well.
Right.
Um, anything that's primal.
Yeah.
The ego is the realistic negotiator. So it's the
Yeah.
one that kind of interacts with the world
The mediator, right?
and the mediator, right? Tries to satisfy the id's desires in socially and acceptable ways, right? So you got to think like men have certain outlets. All right, I can't do that. All
Yeah,
right,
yeah, yeah.
maybe there's a better way to do it. And the superego is, like I said, the moral conscience. And this can change depending on how you were raised. If you let religion dominate that area, then
Right.
that's going to essentially what ends up happening. He said that it develops around age 5, which is kind of interesting.
That's when it
Um,
develops.
yes, according to Freud.
Wow. Interesting.
That's according to Freud, though. I Freud I have a lot of problems with in terms of his
I
theory.
mean, I would think it would develop earlier because if you put like a couple of two year olds together or 3 year olds, there's that one kid that's gonna grab for the toy, and the other kid's gonna kind of back off. Isn't that an ego thing for that kid that goes, I want that toy that you have?
Well, no, well, actually, not even, dudes. Nothing with morals. It's just acting like with the id.
But it's developed.
No, it's just acting. The id is just acting. I want it now. I want it.
Oh, so the ego's not
Every
developed.
kid does that. No, every kid does that. That's my
Right,
toy. I want it now.
right,
Like
right. But
that's
so you're saying the ego develops at 5.
the super ego. This is the moral conscience where a kid become
Oh,
at 5 starts to realize, ooh, there is right and wrong.
right, right, right. That
And what
makes
ends up
sense.
happening, according to Freud, these are the internalized society values, moral standards, and parent knows prohibitions.
Right, right,
And so it strives always for perfection and it causes guilt when the rules are broken.
right, right.
Okay, this
That's
controls the ego.
fascinating.
This controls the ego. And this is according to Freud. This is all according to Freud.
I like Freud's.
No, let me
theory.
tell you, he is such a creative thinker. I mean, there was really nothing quite like this when it came out in the late 1800s. And what's really fascinating is that how he describes the unconscious, right? Because he's saying that if this exists in me, it must exist in others,
Oh yeah,
right? That was his idea. That's actually kind of like his gamble.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It
Um,
makes sense.
and that's his view. That's a psychoanalytic view of the ego.
Hmm.
And so and then in a way, if we go back to your original everyday common usage of the ego, think about what this ego is, right? Like if um if it is very grandiose, like certain priests that we know,
Yeah.
they definitely have some unresolved conflicts between their ids and superego. And to have
Oh
a
yeah.
big ego, but it doesn't correspond to reality, that
Some
doesn't.
of them don't have a super
No,
ego.
versus a Jaco Pastorius. Now, he may be the most crappiest human being,
Right.
but if he says, I'm the greatest person alive because of my bass,
Yeah.
okay. I mean, yeah.
Well, he's saying he's the greatest bass player alive, not the greatest person.
Has he ever said that?
He said, "I'm the greatest bass player alive, not the
So
greatest
he
person."
associates his identity with the bass, which is devastating though, because if no one gives him a platform from his bass, it's devastating if he put all his identity and ego into that.
Right.
He's really relying on music.
Yeah.
Very Schopenhauerian and Nietzschean way of viewing life. But
Right.
the tragedy, as you've seen in the movie Whiplash,
Yeah.
if you let your ego be if there's nothing wrong with that. You're right. Jack would
Yeah.
say, you're right. He would say, I'm the greatest bass player. I'm
He would
better than,
introduce himself as that. Yeah.
right. He would
You
say,
know,
he probably would say, I'm better than Geddy Lee. I'm better than,
oh, there's
you know,
nobody better than
I'm better than Chris
he
Squire.
would say. Me and Ron Carter are the best two bass players alive. Who's Miles Davis bass player?
And what's strange, if you notice, a lot of those people that say that have that, grandiosity in their ego are
Yeah.
tragic figures. A
It's
lot of them.
true. That's true.
So, anyway, going back to Freud, they have unresolved conflicts. And in Jaco Pastorius' case, his life ended in tragedy. And
Yeah.
it also explains why a lot of the musicians that have that ego,
Yeah.
maybe the greatest players, like the blues players, they end in
Yeah.
tragedy and
Oh
addiction.
yeah. Yeah.
That's Freud. So I don't know if you have any questions for me or you have any further comments.
No, like I like Freud. I think that's my favorite to describe the ego. That's how I think of ego when I think of Freud. But I also think of it as the basics too. But what I did earlier, your regular ego is how like
Which
what
one
is
do you
that?
choose? But it's weird, but which one do you like? Which one do you choose as the ego, though?
Um
Because if you choose Freud's, I'm gonna get Socraterian on you.
yeah.
If you choose Freud's, okay, so in Jaco Pastorius' case, how does he reconcile with the id and superego? You can't
Okay.
ignore that.
So if Jocko was saying he's the greatest bass player in the
That's
world,
his ego, right?
right, which he is,
Superego. Explain the
okay.
superego.
He has no like I might say, "Oh yeah, I'm the greatest," but then I'd be like, "Shit, I'm not really the greatest." He doesn't have that. He has no
Now,
doubt.
do you think that's psychologically a little sick? What do you think?
Well, then, am I right? Am I right about the superego? When what I said, like if I said, "Oh, I'm Cheech Carrera, I'm the
Now,
greatest bass
pretend I'm
player."
Freud on the chair and Jocko's in the chair and he's my patient. That's what I'm
Okay.
doing to you.
Okay. Like Jocko saying he's the greatest bass player, it's obvious he is. Maybe he's a bad example, but yeah.
No, no, no. My point is like if you're gonna, okay, you have to choose. Do you want the psychological colloquial term of ego, which most people know it at, or do you want to take Freud's theory? Because with
You
Freud's
can't
theory,
you can't pick both. You got to have
you
one.
could synthesize it, but you would have to so in Jaco Pastorius's case, and actually his life is actually a good example of this.
Yeah.
He clearly had an he clearly had an unresolved issue with his id and superego.
Yeah.
Now, was he an ethical, moral person in his life, Cheech?
Oh yeah, yeah. He was a good person. Jocko he didn't hurt anybody. He hurt himself.
Why did he hurt himself?
With bad things. Drug use and
But
things like
why the
that.
drug use? Why?
Maybe because his id was fucked up.
Okay, so he did have unresolved issues then.
It's hard to say because I don't know. Nobody knows
Okay.
except
I will
Jocko.
say it's obvious. And I think,
Well, he had a couple of marriages fail. Yeah, he did. He had two marriages fail on him. So yeah, he had sadness.
so,
So
so
that would
what,
fit.
what we just did is looking at the lens of life through a psychoanalytic perspective. So what you started out with the ego.
Yeah,
Now, most modern, I would call them pop psychologists, they have rejected Freud's theory completely, but they kept that idea of an ego, that
right.
sense of self-worth. Does
Yeah,
that make
yeah,
sense? Now,
yeah,
if you want to include Freud's, nothing wrong, but now you're looking at a different kind of worldview.
yeah.
The-
Well, okay. Let's bring up Dahmer.
Okay, let's
Okay,
go. Let's go. Dahmer.
okay. Now we just did Jocko because Jocko, you know, he
Well,
he
let
had
me
some
ask you,
sadness
did
going on.
Dahmer have an ego? Let's start here.
Oh yeah, Dahmer had an ego.
Okay, okay. Freud, ready? Uh, id. What was the unresolved conflicts he had with his id? And it's obvious because what did he do?
I mean, he killed people.
Right. So he let that instinctual drive lead him. He developed a need to
Sexual
murder,
urges,
sexual,
murder. Yeah.
right. And I think it would be wrong to say Cheech, that he blended the sexuality with violence, which is
Hmm.
what the ego is what the id wants.
Yeah.
Think about how many days at the temple you want to just like take your slice and just like hit it over the head of somebody, right? Like
Right, 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 right.
that Dahmer acted on that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
already he has um he's id.
Hmm.
Um there is no realistic negotiator. So you could argue that somebody that Dahmer acts on the id alone. He has no ego.
Yeah. He
And
has no
super
ego.
ego, moral conscience, dude. And we could solve using Freud's theories, we solve the problem with psychopathic killers.
Wait, so Dahmer has an id,
That's it.
no ego,
No, it didn't
but
develop.
doesn't his ego filter on the high, like the ego, like I'm gonna kill this guy? Well, no, I guess not. It does.
No,
I'm not the
because,
greatest killer.
well, get this, because, okay, he had a childlike tendency, correct?
Yeah,
Okay. That's the id. It's the instinctual child. And what ends up happening, let me tell you, the ego, it's supposed to be the realistic negotiator. So what it does is that it tries to satisfy the id's desires in a socially acceptable way.
right.
Now, one way Dahmer could have done this if he had these urges is maybe watch porn. I mean, I know it's not
Yeah.
the best,
Right, right.
but in a way, it's and especially because he was homosexual, um, he could use this to.
Wait, though, he did have a super ego because he did fall in love with somebody and he wanted to kill that person, but he didn't kill them. Remember in the movie?
Is that a fact?
Yes. Let's just say the movie. Let's just say the movie's realistic. You know what I mean? I mean,
But you really think that's love, or that again the instinctual child believing that? Oh, and by the way, I forgot to tell you. According to Freud, first of all, these okay. So the id is unconscious. So Dahmer is dude. This dude is an unconscious entity.
yeah,
On top of that, it operates what Freud called the pleasure principle.
right,
He's motivated by pleasure, Cheech. That's not love. It's pleasure.
right, right.
So what he thought that in his head, in order to give into his sexual and love gratification, he thinks that doing but what he's doing, letting him go, right? But it's all warped. It's really like clearly he was not taught to love properly.
But he didn't feel guilt. Isn't that in the superego?
No, no, because it's not developed. Clearly what he did, he has no superego. He has no moral conscience. It was supposed to develop around age 5, but clearly it was absent.
So
And then the ego,
Dahmer.
he has an ego, but the id won. So the id has taken over.
So with these serial killers,
It solves that problem. They really have a problem with their id. I mean, They're dangerous humans that have to be. If anything, they deserve to be in prison. Like
So their egos, they don't have an ego. They just have an id.
they have an ego, but they have let the id take over.
Wow.
So they have no ego. Essentially, it's all id and unconscious. So when Dahmer is slicing bone, he's acting unconsciously, according to Freud,
Wow. It makes sense. It makes
right?
sense.
So Freud's
I
theory is
I've
beautiful.
always done that. I've always thought about that with me, id, ego, and super ego.
Right, right.
You see a beautiful woman, your super ego is telling you, "Damn, go over there, grab her ass." You know what I mean?
Well, no, no.
You
Well,
know,
no, no, no. The id says that.
the id is saying
The
that. Go
super
over there.
ego says, "Oh, I shouldn't do that. I'm at work."
What's gonna happen if I do that?
If you actually do it,
The super ego is telling you if you do that, you're gonna get arrested.
right? Because or I will lose my job.
I will lose my job. Yeah, so
That's the
a
super ego.
normal
And
person has that
right.
intact.
And the ego is the mediator. Now, the ego will say, all right, I'm not going to do this. Instead, I'm just going to look up at a picture and call it a day. Like satisfied. Now,
Yes,
now
yeah,
that's even, and now that's because you want touch or,
yeah.
but you're like, what do I do? Or you might say Christ consciousness. All right, good. I'm going to just not,
Or okay, or somebody says something to you who is higher up than you, the temple, and they really piss you off, and you want to say, "Go fuck yourself" to them.
right. That's the id.
Okay, the id is ready to just
It
attack
is
them.
ready. Childlike. F you. Why do I have to
Yeah.
listen to you?
But the super ego is
Tell
saying,
you, oh, I will lose my job. And how will this look in front of people? I'm 50 years old. Probably not a good idea.
"Yeah, and I'm gonna have no money. I'm not. What am I gonna
Right.
do? He's
And
got
that's
another
the
job."
that's the internal, according to Freud, the societal values, moral standards, and ethics, and even your parents probably taught you you got to respect your bosses. That has been internalized
Exactly.
in you. And so what ends up happening is that if you broke, let's say you said F you to the priest,
Yeah.
you're gonna feel guilty after.
Oh yeah.
That's the superego.
Right.
And the ego is the mediator, so you probably are gonna do some Crowley spells behind him, and that's your ego.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, I'm all for the Freud. I
I'll
think
be honest with you, it's a beautiful theory. It helps explain. Now, I don't know if you want to get into my problems, but we'll keep going with the ego episode. But um, I do have my issues with it. It is so creative. In the terms of psychology, philosophy, it is very creative what he came up with.
yeah.
In a way, it solves the problem how to get out. Philosophy has a problem. How do you get outside of the mind? How do you know other minds? And
Yeah.
like I said, Kant tried to offer a theory in his Critique of Pure Reason. He tried. Hegel also tried
Mhm.
with his phenomenology of spirit.
Yeah.
How do we know other minds? Freud is brilliant. He said, look inside and we'll know the others because they act the same. That's
Right.
brilliant.
Because everyone
Brilliant.
acts the same.
Right.
Well, or different. Either, not everybody's the same. You got serial killers,
Right. And,
you got,
and,
bad people that are just
right.
nasty.
And Freud's theory, in terms of serial killers, does offer a great explanatory power. Like,
Oh, I think it describes it. We figured out the serial killer's
and,
brain.
and imagine most of these serial killers are kind of in love with their parents in a way. Many of them.
Yeah.
Already, that's bad because that's going to show up in horrible ways. And if they're operating on it alone,
Mm.
they're going to act on those desires.
Okay. Now, what about the people that don't have a super ego? We know a lot of them.
They lack empathy in general.
Yeah, that are just
They exist.
nasty. They're just nasty and they don't care. So certain people, we won't say any names, but they have an id, they have an ego, but their super ego, like they have no filter. Would that be that? Would
In a
that
way,
apply?
yeah, because what ends up happening again, like, and I think you and I would agree with this, that you and I were taught very early by our families to respect people, right?
Yeah,
Respect your elders, respect your bosses, respect your teachers. Um, for the most of these people that lack that, you're right, the super ego, the moral conscience is like really not there.
yeah,
Now, that doesn't make them serial killers because they do have that realistic negotiator, though, the ego,
right,
right?
right.
And um and like going back to your example, they can be nasty, but in their heads they justify it.
Yeah.
I'm nasty because this person sucks,
Yeah.
right? But they're not gonna do something horrible to you, like or
No, they won't kill you. They'll just be
no.
mean to you or talk behind your back or that kind of
There,
thing.
certain people like Frenchie operate on the id. I feel like that's that. I'm not gonna. I'm not. Or even the god.
No, no, he's got a super ego.
Okay, so he has
I,
a moral center.
I'm gonna give you an example. I fucked with him, and you could talk to Ernest today. I fucked with him pretty bad. He was counting numbers, and he was like 18, 19, 17, and I was like 20, 21, 22, 23, and he's like, go fuck yourself.
But dude, no, but dude, no, that's his id.
No, okay. Then after he said that to me, we're on the floor, we're dying, right? And then I came back from my break, and Ernest is like, "I think Marcel wants to talk to you." Marcel came up to me. I'm so sorry, Chris. I didn't mean to say that. So his super ego kicked in.
That's interesting. Okay, okay.
So he has all three, but he
But it's so obvious. You can see it.
yeah, his it is really strong though. His it is
Obviously,
strong,
because
you
he's
know.
on,
It's just he's on a fucking rampage. When he comes in there, man, you know, he's ready to fucking.
F you, Chris.
It's like, oh man, I wish you'd seen it because I bust his balls all the
I
time,
haven't seen
man.
Frenchie in a long time. I'm probably never gonna see him again.
He just is like 7, 8, 9, and I start throwing numbers up like 30, 40, 50. He's like, go fuck yourself. And he ran off. And me,
Pure id, pure id.
yeah, you
Um,
know,
but yeah, but that's Freud's theory. And it's kind of different from it's psychoanalysis, psychoanalytic.
yeah, yeah. Wow. Okay. Um, so what do I have left? Okay, so we said the rational part of your brain that deals with the outside world, helping you make practical decisions and maintain a stable sense of identity. Um, that's it, ego, the reality principle. What does this mean? What I just said? It is the rational part of your mind that deals with outside world, helping you make practical decisions and maintain a stable sense of identity. Is that the ego?
That's in the ego, yes. So remember what I told you that the id operates on the remember I told you on the what do I call the love principle?
Yeah.
Um or eros sometimes it's known. But the reality principle it is inside the ego. So the pleasure principle, I'm sorry. So the pleasure principle is in the id. It operates on pure pleasure.
Okay.
So somebody, for example, that disrespects you or is nasty, it's not that they're getting pleasure from that.
Yeah.
It is because in their head they're justified by their egos, their
Right.
super egos. They're justified their nastiness towards you.
Right. Right. Right.
Now, the reality principle inside the ego, what it is that it is how it regulates between the id's desires and the super ego's moral conscious demand. So, for example, um, it allows you to delay gratification,
Right.
right? And then really think about what your next steps or decisions are. And it meets, and what it tries to do, it meets environmental demands, social rules, long-term goals, right? Is the reality. It's like literally it's called the reality principle
Right.
because it's how it grounds itself in reality. And it's your guide for life
So
and
the
reality.
ego is fed by your id and your superego.
Well, no, it's not that they're fed, they're interacting.
Okay. And then you make that decision. Your ego makes the final. Your ego has a final say.
Yep, it'll use that reality principle, that regulatory mechanism
Mhm.
to regulate the gratifications of the id and the demands of the superego in terms of morals.
Okay. That's why Freud got it right.
Yeah,
100%.
yeah, it's a great theory. It has a lot of explanatory power, and that's why it was popular for a long time.
Yeah. Okay, here's another one. In the psychological framework, the ego is the executive part of your personality that navigates reality.
That's the reality principle.
That okay, so that's all Freud. Okay. Now I'm going to throw probably a whole different school of thought on the ego. Um, Subjective agency. Ego experiences a subjective feeling of freedom within the field of consciousness. You know where I'm going with this?
Hmm.
So who are we
Is
talking
that
about now?
Young?
Yep.
Yeah, I love Young. Say it one more time.
Um, Subjective agency. Egos experience a subjective feeling of freedom within the field of consciousness.
Hmm.
You know, and then I could go a little further, but I'm not sure
Yeah,
if this
no,
is
and
you.
that's interesting because he put the ego in the center of consciousness, right? So now for Freud, he was saying that it's actually all three. So
Yeah.
the ego is the mediator,
Hmm.
and superego.
Yeah.
This is in the unconscious. But then what is the center of consciousness for Freud?
He doesn't have Freud disagree. I mean, wait, for Freud, the center of consciousness is
What do you think?
your ego making the final decision, being intertwined with the id and the superego.
Hmm.
But now Jung doesn't believe in the id or the superego.
No,
Subjective.
right. Well, and I just want to add something that I don't know if you ever heard that Freud's theory is like the iceberg, where you only see a little
Tip.
top on
Yeah.
top of the sea, and the rest is like a huge sea. That's
Yeah.
Freud's unconscious. And he's saying the conscious mind is the tip of the iceberg. So versus again, it's just a tiny part. Versus Jung, who said it's actually the center of consciousness. So the ego is everything, is our sense of identity, continuity, and awareness. And he rejected all that sexual stuff. He was like, I don't know about that. And instead, um, he put it in the center, ego. Like
Right.
it's not, it's literally the most important part.
But what's it being fed by our thoughts?
Yeah, organizing thoughts and memories.
Okay. So he doesn't have id or a superego. It's thoughts and memories
Mhm.
and sexual drive or
No, he ignored that, and that's why they split. And in the conscious mind, like so, according to Jung, the ego is sort of like the subjective observer, right, of oneself and the external world. So, key word subjective.
so let's use Frenchie and
Okay,
and
so
and, and young
Frenchie, when you look at
young
Frenchie
theory.
and he says "F you, Cheech," that is his conscious mind ego saying he's observing you and nothing to it because of what you're doing. Literally, there's nothing hidden behind what he says. He's literally saying F you.
Right. But my thoughts have got him to say F you.
Yes.
Okay. So basically, Jung is simple. It's just
Jungian psychology, yeah, he removes a lot of the ambiguity, unconscious, and sexual drives.
now Jocko. How does he fit in with Jung?
So with Jung, what it is, so with Jocko, you're seeing the ego. So the way Jocko interprets his world is through his bass playing.
Right.
It's a major part. Now, the only thing with Jung that's pretty interesting is that he talked about the persona as a mask.
Mm.
And what this is that the ego wears these masks. Is it possible that Jocko wore a mask? The one was a bass player, the greatest bass player. That's a mask.
Right.
That's
Right.
Young. That's
Okay.
classic Young.
So ego and persona are the same thing.
So you saw Jocko play bass, Cheech, but you don't really know who Jocko is.
That's his persona.
You're seeing a mask. That's according to Young.
Okay.
So the ego is that subjective of now the only in a way the conscious mind is only the ego. What's the problem with Jung is okay, it's subjective of oneself and the external world. So only one person, yourself, can know your true ego. Nobody else.
Right.
Unless you bring it out.
Right.
Now, Jung was brilliant because then he developed the collective unconscious where he believed that in the stories we tell in history and myths, you see it come out. And that's where he came up with the archetypes.
Yeah. And that's almost like a law of attraction kind of thing,
Yeah.
in a way.
If that makes
He's,
sense.
I mean,
I'm a Jungian. Myself, I'm a Jungian. If
so
I
you prefer Carl Jung's
over
theory
Freud.
over
Less sexual.
Freud.
Because I don't think that not everything's sexual. And it's funny because
Well, it doesn't have to be sexual with Freud. It could just be
oh no, it
common.
has to be.
No, with id, ego, and superego.
Oh
It
no,
could just
dude, it has to be sexual.
no, not necessarily, right? Like, so if okay, let's just say someone at the temple, a high priest, pissed me off, you know. And I'm just like I got in the middle of shit I gotta do. My superego wants to go off, right? Um, no,
No,
my
no,
id want my
your
no,
id.
my id wants to go off. My super ego says to me, no, 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 you can't because you'll get in trouble. You'll get fired. So there's no sexual desire in there.
So you would be, if you're health, you for Freud, you'll be a healthy, functioning person.
Well,
But most people don't think like that. For example, talking back to that priest, power has been associated with sexuality.
right.
And so certain people get a a hard on for being in power.
Right. So the guy in power,
They love that and they
he's
love to
that's the
issue
sexual,
abuse because they get gratification.
and that's the primal part.
It's a primal power. Yep.
Okay. So Jung is much more simple. It's
No, no,
thoughts
no,
and the
not simple, but he removes the sexual components. And what he
right.
does is that he creates a very beautiful theory. His theory is very powerful, but a little confusing. Gets a little too kind of like too much.
Yeah. What do most people these days choose? Jung or Freud?
In today's psych world,
Yeah.
both are rejected.
What is ego then?
If they use it, it's what you began the episode with.
Oh, they go back to basics.
Simple. And even then, it's kind of like, how do we know it exists?
Hmm. Wow. This is getting heavy. Wow.
Let
Okay.
me know if you want to like take a break.
No. I think the new school ego is
Oh, and going
I
back
don't
to Frenchie and Young, Frenchie is not wearing a mask. That's really him. That's another crazy with people like him, you're seeing the real ego.
right,
Now,
right.
with certain temple priests, no. But they wear a mask. But for example, deep down they're cowering, shivering children who are afraid and hate themselves. But they have to wear that mask of the temple priest.
To show that their power.
Right. And they grow up and say, Temps.
So that's young. That's the
Yeah.
Jungian
Young said
ego.
that they're wearing masks. Now, what's really powerful is in romantic relationships. Two artists come to mind. Billy Joel had a Jungian song, The Stranger, where he says, he talks about in The Stranger how he thought he knew this woman, but after they made love, the mask came off and he didn't recognize her. And now he's like, I don't want to be with you.
Right.
Springsteen has another song, Brilliant Disguise, where he offers warnings that you marry people who wear masks, but then they're just wearing disguises. In marriage, you find out who they really are.
Of course, yeah.
That's pure Jungian psychology.
And that could even be in a band. You could start jamming with people, and
Oh,
then after a
100%.
couple months go by, you're
Right.
like, oh, I'm not
That's why
jiving.
people like, yes, they really didn't know each other, but musically they can work. But
Yeah.
once their egos and masks come up, they reveal they fall apart.
Yeah.
And the only thing to unify them is music,
Right.
which has no mask on. You can either play or don't play.
Right.
That's
And you could work together well.
right.
Well, ego in music is a big problem. I've been in bands
Well,
with
in a way, it's not, in my opinion, it shouldn't happen in music because it'll ruin the music.
well, it happens all the time. Like I've
Right.
been in bands where one guy fucks the whole band up
Right.
because of his ego.
Right. That's
And
what
I was
happened
going,
to the Beatles too. They fell apart once the Eagles came out. There was a
right.
famous scene where George Harrison, his ego came out, and then he clashed with Lennon and McCartney. And then I think George Harrison was like, yeah, F you guys. Because his ego started coming out. Now,
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, George Harrison, he's brilliant, but like in order for the band to work, he was supposed to not let like he was supposed to let the music flow.
Yeah.
Instead, his ego came out, his
Right.
kind of his true self. Or maybe he put on a mask within the band or and essentially ruined the band. And not only him, all of them did, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but that's Yuck's Jungian psychology.
Interesting. I don't know. I mean, I like them both. I've always studied more Freud and used that in my life. Jungian seems almost like I'd have to practice it. Like I love the Frenchy analogy though. He's
Yeah,
pure ego.
he's pure ego or pure id. No, I'm kidding. No, he's pure. You can see that in Freud's model, you can see the three operates simple. He's not hiding.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
his id told you F you,
No,
and
no,
then
no, I meant in young his young Freud.
That's
Freud's young. I mean, I'm getting so fucked up. Um, Frenchie's Jungian ego. I like what you said. It's his true self.
right,
That's
right.
scary.
Most people who are on the spectrum are that in a sense.
Right. So most people on the spectrum don't really have an id ego or super ego.
They do, but you see it work with your eyes. So let me give an example. Frenchie, his id, F you Cheech. But then his ego starts to make him feel guilty. Later, he says, superego acts on the ego and told you should not have said that. Cheech, I'm so sorry. Like, that's what's happening. You see
Yeah.
those three forms work at work.
Yeah, he does that all the time to me. I'll
Yeah.
piss him off jokingly. I know I'm gonna piss him off. And then he'll come up to me and, I'm sorry, but then he'll give me a lesson. You shouldn't say that to me. I'm having a bad day. I'm sorry. He'll have an excuse.
Hmm.
Or if they take a day away from him, God forbid, when they took those days away, he was only working 2 days. He attacked, you know. Okay. He's a great example. He's a great study
Yeah.
on this
He's
stuff.
a great case study, but that's young. So now, and again,
Okay.
just so I don't know if you can see on map, this is how Young's model looks. I mean, it's fine, you can't see it, but nah. But anyway, it's where it's really cool. The ego is part of the self, and there's a personal unconscious self, right? It's all conscious, but then there's also the collective conscious, and don't forget there's also the animus and anima, and there's the outer and inner world. So you see, Jung gets really kind of
Yeah, he gets
very
heavy.
esoteric. Really great though. Lots of
Yeah.
explanatory power. Where Freud was more simple. It's kind of funny.
Yeah.
He was actually more simple.
Yeah.
Before
Well, you could take young as simple too and just say you have an ego and your thoughts and your memories feed it.
But let me ask you, are you your ego?
Um,
Or are you your own person? And then let me ask you a further question. Who's your shadow?
but ego to me is you. Your ego
But
is
how do I
is
know that you're not wearing a mask?
ah. How do you know like I hate rock music and
Right, right,
I'm just a manipulating
right,
liar
right.
and I really
And that explains psychopaths and sociopaths. People who master society, they wear masks, right? And they're brilliant. They have mastered the art.
I think in the world we live in now, Jungian ego is everywhere.
No, I agree. I actually want to return to Jungian psychology. And it's funny because I always consider myself a Jungian,
Yeah.
because I do think that his theory is very powerful and it does offer a lot of explanation,
Yeah.
especially with he was one of the few that introduced this idea that everybody has a shadow.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Everybody has, and I don't know if you remember, the shadow with Jung is this, it's so cool. It's this unconscious hidden part of the personality. So it's the part that the masks hide. But instead of saying repressed sexual desires like Freud
Yeah.
or the pleasure principle, he said it was more sort of like repressed weaknesses. Yes, desires, because again, for example, we desire a certain woman, but we repress it.
Yeah.
and it comes out in music, right? Like in the case of Bob Dylan.
Right, right, right.
And repressed.
Layla, great example
Oh,
of
that's
that.
a great example. And it's the dark side of the psyche, right? It's that. So he introduced in Jungian therapy shadow work to understand, to let that shadow come out. But
Wow.
it's like this hidden dark side, but it's not negative. It's just we all have this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We all have this hidden dark side. Um, but that's yeah, that's Young. Yeah, Young's brilliant.
Damn, heavy. All right, move on. So with Jungian, maybe this is Jungian. I don't know. The ego uses what? Thanks for teaching me about Jungian. Because like I knew it, I've studied it in the past, but now I'm really gonna think about this.
With Frenchie.
Yeah. Oh God,
Cheech, F you.
you should have. Today was so. It was so funny, man. Ernest was
Dude,
dying.
you crack. I wish I could put him as like a little ad. Never mind the bollocks.
Like I'll get him. I want to get a video of him,
Or Stormcock rules.
I'll get him. I'll get him to. If he's in a good mood, I'll get him to do a video. But then I'll be like, "Is he's smart? He's like, is that bad? What I'm saying? No, it's not bad. Just say it, you know." And he'll listen to me. But if I piss him off, then I'm in trouble. Then I'm just like, you took the garbage out. You didn't put a bag in there. You don't. Oh no, it pisses him putting a glove on the floor. So you put a glove in the garbage, but you miss it, and it goes on the floor. Pick that glove up now. You know, he is this like or he'll attack people. He'll be on you for a
Yeah.
couple of days. He'll want to be on you. Okay. The ego uses what we perceive as free will. Now I'm going to bring in free will to balance internal desires, emotions, and external demands, helping to make choices that shape our identity.
Oh, with the free will.
Yeah.
What section is this?
This is just random. This
Ah,
stuff that
well, if you introduce free will, yeah,
now,
then
yeah, I'm bringing. So we went from Jung, we went from Freud. Now I'm bringing in free will slowly.
right. With that introduction, um, with free will, you choose your ego. You can choose how you want it. You have that power. So you're not a result of your unconscious drives. So you'd be rejecting Jung and Freud with the
So you
introduction of free will.
now
Maybe
free
not Jung, maybe not Jung, but Freud definitely, because Freud didn't believe in free will.
does free will act on your ego, or does your ego act on free will?
Free will acts on ego because of free will, then that changes everything. You decide now, and like it's a heavy burden. If I can, I want to mention the professor, Free Will, where he says, if you remember the song Free Will, you can choose to believe in some sort of, divinity, but I will choose a better path. I will choose free will. You have made that your morality. And then Sartre, John Paul Sartre, the existentialist, then said, but it's a heavy burden. The ability to, it's a heavy burden on the ego.
So you're going against your ego and you choose free will.
No, it's a heavy burden because then you are plagued with your decisions. So your ego, if you don't like your ego, that's your fault.
If you don't like your decision,
Your ego.
I'm not. This is where I'm getting a little lost.
Okay. What's the ego with free will? What is it?
Is it like Freudian's? I mean, Jung's ego, where it's
Well,
just,
you tell me
is it a
because,
mask?
well, do you choose to wear a mask?
I personally don't.
Okay.
I'm gonna go back to Freud.
Okay. So what my point here is like with free will, it changes a lot of things. With your ego, now you need to decide what ego definition you're going to choose.
Yeah.
Okay. If you pick Freud, there's no free will. You are your unconscious drives and desires and ego. You do not pick your ego, it's your unconscious. If
Okay.
you pick Jung, Jung is all about integration and individuation, right? And he would say, for example, that the free will idea is an illusion. It's more that you are he had a topographic model of the mind. So, but if you believe in free will, if I can quote the famous Rush song, and essentially that's what the song is about. That famous line where he says, um, if you choose not to decide, you still have made a choice. So you can choose a ready guide in some celestial voice, right? If you choose not to decide, you still have made a choice. Is your ego
Mm.
is picking. Does your ego want to believe in a celestial voice? And
Does
this
your
is kind
yeah? Does your ego want to believe in God?
of
Is what
right,
he's
right.
saying.
And that's another question. But he says here, if you choose not to decide, you still have made a choice. You can choose from phantom fears, that's the unconscious, and kindness that can kill.
Right.
Super ego, kindness. But I will choose a path that's clear and I will choose free will.
So
You can make
Neil's
that your ego where you choose free will.
is Neil coming from a Freudian concept there?
He is actually coming. That song is very ambiguous. Not sure. No,
Not
I think
because he's
he's
not a
coming more.
mask. He's
No,
not
I
talking.
think it's coming more from a religious perspective.
Right, right.
Because I think he was
But
atheist.
which ego would apply to free will the song?
Well, you tell me. This is where on the Cheech and Manny esoteric hour we got to decide because that's important.
But for me, I would say Freud
Okay, the problem is, and Freud will tell you, but wait a minute, free will doesn't exist. Do you know why?
because your ego is making the choice, makes choices.
It took away your free will.
My ego took away my free will.
Yeah.
This is fucking insane, man.
Yeah, free will changes everything. And actually, there are some scientists that have rejected free will. They're saying it doesn't exist. It's an illusion.
But now, so some scientists, I'm going to bring up the scientists too, but like
Right, right,
some scientists are saying free will doesn't exist.
right. That it's an illusion that we made up.
Now, Frenchie, got to go back to him. I pissed him off so much one
And I
day.
tell you, Frenchie has no free will.
Well, no, let's just say I piss him off
Right.
and he acts on his id and he picks up a knife and he comes at me. That's not free will.
No, he's operating on his id. His id pulled the strings.
Wow, this gets insane.
No, if you want to include free will, it's like this. Pretend we're just doing ego and free will. Okay, Frenchie, you piss off Frenchie, he's coming at you with a knife. It's not that the id told him to. He wants to kill you. He
Yeah.
wants it.
So this goes back to Young.
No, not even. It's just ego and free will. So let's say he kills you.
Yeah.
Okay. He wants that. Afterwards, he is going to have to wrestle with that decision, and that's Sartre. That's what he said, that if you make that decision, it's going to weigh heavy on you.
But that's free will. After you get the free will
Well, according
after.
to Sartre, that's the problem with free will.
Okay, so Start is saying you get free.
So now Frenchie has become an existentialist.
All right.
I
So
love how
now,
people out there are gonna be like, what the heck are they talking about?
so now, Sartre's free will comes after the fact.
We're thrown into this world where we have free will, right?
Yeah.
His thing is that every decision that you make is gonna weigh heavy upon your ego. So
And
you
then,
construct your ego with free will
so your ego is built by
on
your
free will,
choices,
your
by your,
choice. Exactly.
that's Sartre.
That's Sartre, and again, kind of Pertian.
Okay,
I will
now,
choose free will.
let's throw this at our viewers now. You have three psychological views. We have Freud, your id, which is your desire, your animalistic feeling, your super ego, which is your feelings of like to be kind and regret and
Because society taught you to be kind to people.
yeah.
Or
And then your
religion or whatever.
and then just the egos in the middle.
The mediator
Yeah, the
that
media.
operates on the reality principle. It's your gateway to reality.
Okay. Now Jung, his ego is thoughts and memories,
It's in the center.
and you put masks on.
Yep.
Okay. John Paul Sartre's ego is you just do what you do, and
Right.
then afterwards,
You weigh your decisions and they weigh heavy.
if you did something good, like you ran in front of a car and got hit by a car, so you wouldn't kill a
Right.
2-year-old,
Right.
and
You
you got
have
your
made
leg,
that choice because you wanted that.
but now your legs are broken.
But now your legs are broken.
But you saved a 2-year-old.
but you then according to that you should be satisfied with that. But it will weigh that decision will weigh upon you.
Right. Okay. So though I didn't even bring up existentialists. I
I just
brought
had
up
to do it because you mentioned free will. Free will as a philosophical concept is very new. No, well, no, I'm sorry. In our conversation, because
yeah,
then I asked you because Freud and Jung had these ideas of free will. For example, Freud was deterministic. He didn't believe in free will.
right.
Jung had an interesting idea. He thought more that the person is again like Freud, but different, a result of their unconscious drives, but different kind of drives.
Yeah.
And they're motivated by wearing personas or masks
Right, right,
because they're motivated by their shadow sides as well.
right.
That doesn't sound like free will to me. You're right. Now, when you introduce free will, you're introducing philosophy.
Yeah.
And this is why I mentioned Sartre. And religion has a whole nother thing about that, like Christianity. But
So psychologists don't really want to hear about philosophy.
normally, no, especially today. They're different now.
I'm
They
talking the I'm talking about the real ones. Fuck these
okay,
newer ones.
well, it's funny, they're philosophers, but they don't like to consider stuff. They like to get like
Yeah.
they're psychologists.
To me, new psychology that I like is like Rollo May, that era. You
Oh
know what I
man, that
mean?
needs to come back.
But like that's new, but that's old now. That's like almost my age. That's almost like 50.
There's wisdom in there, but most psychologists don't read that.
Yeah, which is sad. Which is sad. Like like to me, the classics they should go back to because these guys started it.
You ask anybody, do you know Rollo May? Do you know Viktor Frankl? Now, unless they're well read, which is rare, but I dare you to ask anyone studying psychology if they know them. Or
And
even like,
that. Well, yeah, I asked my kid. My kid took psychology. They study Freud. That Freud is in there. Um, and then I young, and she's like, no, I don't even know what you're talking about. So forget about Rollo May. Forget about William James. They're not going to
oh,
even.
forget about him, yeah.
And he started it. He's before Freud.
Mhm.
You know, what was William James's take on the ego? Or he didn't go there.
He didn't really talk about it. He was a pragmatist.
Okay.
He would say, what is the point of talking about a theory if serves no purpose? What's
Right,
the
right,
point of
right.
talking about that if it doesn't help you become a good person?
And Frankel didn't really get into the ego.
Frank, oh, that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, yeah. I don't want to get
Frankel is
into this.
meaning. That's another conversation.
Yeah. But meaning is coming from ego.
Well, how does your ego construct meaning?
The meaning of life, the meaning of your life.
But how do you know what it is for you?
Because you're pursuing something you love to do, and it's ego driven.
Dude, that's your life's purpose.
Right.
Okay, okay, not bad, not bad. That would
Right.
be sort of very Frankel, where he's saying
Frankel.
that man's search is not for sexual drives. It's not this unconscious stuff. It's actually a search for meaning.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Satisfy your ego, that your ego is craving meaning. What is
Right.
meaning in your life?
And it could be anything. It could be
Right.
anything
And we
positive,
had this conversation before too, where we talked about a lot of people are not pursuing their passions.
not
Yeah.
pursuing.
Remember that? Like, and
Yeah,
that
yeah,
they're conforming.
yeah,
And actually, Frankel said that in your mind, you are free.
yeah.
He kind of blended a few things there.
Right, right, right.
You have the power in your mind to make decisions. He discovered that the Nazis could do whatever they want to his body, but they couldn't did not touch his mind.
Right,
That's how
right.
that's man's search for meaning.
That's a day at the temple.
I mean, yeah, they could do whatever throwing abuse at you,
They
but
could say whatever they want,
it's
but they
like
can't.
us. We externalize our minds for outside when we're together, and
Yeah.
people hate it because they want to
Right.
control us. But they can't.
Yeah. They can't, and that's why we're bad news when we're together.
We
You
are
know.
we're kind of like we're kind of like Harpers.
Yeah. Yeah. We're like because we're not talking about metrics
Right.
and
Right.
all the BS that goes
Yeah.
on there. Okay. So I'm glad we got Frankel, we got Sartre, we got Jung, we got William James, we got Freud. So we named the big ones, how they all feel about the ego. So psychologists think very differently than philosophers
Hmm.
about ego.
Hmm.
Okay. Okay. So, and this is, I'm going to just see where this fits. I just have like words. Exercising choice allows the ego to adapt to change over time, moving from an unhealthy state like a manipulator or a rebel uh, toward a better person. Where would that fall under?
We see it one more time.
Exercising choice allows the ego to adapt to change over time, moving from an unhealthy state like a manipulative person or a rebel toward a more integrated self.
That actually sounds like what modern psychologists would talk about.
So that's more modern ego.
Yeah, especially with like the integration.
Okay. So give me an example of like how your ego is thinking there.
So that returns it to more of the when I say modern, is like most people, for example, if your ego is your identity, your sense of I, right?
Yeah.
Is that the one? Is that okay? Like sense of I?
Yeah.
If it's damaged and broken, so you would want to help a therapist would help this ego recover their I in therapy,
Okay. Okay.
who this person is, what's his
Kind of fun.
identity, how this childhood impacted this ego, his identity, what his desires are, his dreams, his goals,
So
his
this would be somebody that would have been abused, maybe.
oh, that damages the ego. Yeah, in this case, in this example,
So they got a
that
damaged
ego
ego.
is damaged. Yeah,
Or the guy in Whiplash, if you listen to him.
he is an example of one's whose ego is damaged. The movie is kind of interesting. There's been a theory that it's damaged permanently.
Yeah. So he's got a permanently damaged ego and he's
Mhm.
taking it out on all the students.
Mhm.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. And that's modern day.
That sounds very modern. Yeah.
Okay. Biological machines. Scientists like Stephen Hawking and Einstein suggest that because we are governed by physical laws, now I'm going to bring up free will. Free will is likely an illusion used by the
I was telling you.
mind to make sense of its own.
That's a lot of there's a philosopher Daniel Dennett who's a biologist and big cognitive science. He says
Yeah.
that. He uses a lot of Darwinian logic where he says it's an illusion. It's just we think it exists, but it doesn't. They're more
Okay.
of the theory that we're genes motivate
Okay.
our if we have egos, but
So Einstein didn't believe in ego. Hawkins didn't believe in ego.
that's interesting. I'm not sure about Einstein, but Hawking definitely not.
Okay. Yeah, because Einstein came up in this quote.
Okay. What's the quote?
Well, in this passage, let's say,
Ah, okay.
we are governed by physical laws. Free will
Okay.
will
It
likely
makes
be
sense. It makes sense. Yeah.
now I'm gonna get into free will. Uh True free will beyond the ego. Some viewpoints suggest that free will only truly begins when the ego is bypassed or surrendered.
That's where'd you get that idea?
Just looking up ego.
That's interesting. So wait, say that one more time.
I don't know. See, this is why I need you. Like, These are just points, that I'm
Yes, wait, say it one
facts.
more time. Now we're getting into esotericism. Say it one more time.
Some viewpoints suggest that free will only true begins when the ego is bypassed or surrendered.
So, okay, first, ego. So, depending on, I don't know which model of ego we're taking, but that would explain how free will exists. So, if you don't let your ego dictate for you, but instead, like Neil Peart says, I will choose free will, you're taking the Ayn Rand approach and
Right,
you're asserting your free will. You're not letting your ego dictate it for you.
right, right,
Your ego said, my parents want me to become a doctor. I'm going to make them happy. Instead, you were saying, I'm not doing that. I'm going to go learn how to play guitar and join a band.
right.
That's your free will.
This is an example that what you just said is the answer to this passage
Mm.
that I said. Okay, because I was trying to figure that out. And this is coming from Freud. Like I always go back to Freud.
No, that's not Freud.
No, I'm saying like a Freud ego.
No. Well, actually, if you believe in the Freudian ego, I guess if that was true, you can bypass it. You can say, I'm not following that.
Okay. Young, would it fit?
You would have to bypass it.
The free will. You mean the ego?
Mhm.
Okay. And Sartre,
That's Sartre.
free.
For Sartre, remember, no ego, because existence precedes essence.
Right, right. Okay.
You exist before an ego.
Okay. Okay. Some argue that true freedom is found in surrendering personal ego to higher power sources.
That's mysticism. Now that's next level. Where a lot
That's
of
that's the Kabbalah, the Zohar.
yes, and even like Christian mystics, where they say you have to surrender to God completely. You have to obliterate the ego and just surrender to God.
Right.
And Buddhists kind of teach their own version of this too, Nirvana.
Okay, now we gotten into religion.
Hmm.
So now let's see what we covered so far for our viewers if they're still if they didn't shoot themselves.
They didn't
um,
Albert Camus themselves.
yeah.
French, if you're
Um,
watching, don't Camus yourself.
yeah, no Camus, no Camus. So we did Freud's ego, we did Jung's ego. We got into Sartre's ego. We talked about Viktor Frankl, living in your mind. That's your place of safeness. And then William James, the protagonist, didn't believe in any of this. We talked about those guys.
Mhm.
Um, Now we talked about the science, the Hawkins guys, and Einstein. And now we're talking about spiritualists, the
Religious, yeah.
Buddhists, Jesus Christ, and Jewish mysticism,
Kabbalah, yeah, yeah. Old
Indian,
Testament.
Indian, maybe Indian
Mysticism,
spirituality.
yeah.
So this is where, and I'll say that again. Some argue that true freedom is found in surrendering personal ego to a higher power.
Hmm.
Okay, so that's spiritual. So
Hmm.
I'm glad I made these questions up, and you're giving me the
Hmm.
answers that I don't know. Like I don't know. Okay, presence and awareness in mindfulness practice. Free will is seen as the ability to witness ego driven reactions like anger or fear and choose to act from a place of presence instead of being programmed.
Yep. So one of the things in the Old Testament, presence of the Lord,
Hmm.
being present.
Right.
Meditation is literally silencing whatever is in your mind. Ego, you got to
Right.
silence it. You want to be present.
Buddhism.
And that's also in Christianity, prayer. You want to just silence your thoughts
Right, right.
and be in the presence of God.
So you got Buddhism with meditation,
Hmm.
you got prayer with religion.
Hmm.
Okay. And you're quieting your ego
And then
with that.
Hinduism is ta chakras and yoga too. Like that, they always preach that, like stay present through your body.
Right. Ah, okay. Now, speak getting into this point, it's gonna get a little heavy. Kabbalah, the Zohar. So now getting away from Freud, Jung, William James, Viktor Frankl, Sartre get into a popular way to work on your ego. So first I want to talk about the Kabbalah.
Mhm.
The Kabbalah is a spiritual tradition that has become a powerful cultural force. The Kabbalah is a category. It is an entire tradition of Jewish mysticism that includes history, philosophy, oral tradition, and meditative practices. All of this is thought and it's placed into a book called the Zohar. And the Zohar is the most important book and a famously written text in the world of the Kabbalah.
Mhm.
Right? Any questions on
No,
my explanation?
Jewish, very Jewish mysticism is that you're
Yeah,
mentioning. And then why did you want to mention the Kabbalah?
because I studied the ego out of the Zohar,
Right.
and they yeah that's why I should have said that first. And they have a lot of cool ways to tame your ego and talking about that. The Kabbalah's ancient tradition of Jewish mysticism, meaning receive. The Zohar means to receive, to connect to the infinite, a book that has wisdom and is a blueprint for the universe and human soul. The symbol of the tree of life is a spiritual map to the universe and the human soul. The book has not one writer, but various sages and mystics over roughly 1,500 years, but it appeared in Spain in the 13th century.
Hmm.
That's just a little history of the Kabbalah. Now, why I'm bringing it up is I studied the Zohar, um, not like intensely because it's one of the hardest spiritualities to even
Hmm.
fathom. And I could tell you like my history in the middle millennial years, I really got into the Zohar and the Kabbalah, went to the Kabbalah Center, and I studied with people who studied with these guy. This guy, his name was Michael Berg. The Berg family brought the Kabbalah back for everybody. Before it was only for the elders, and they wanted everybody to learn about the Kabbalah and the Zohar. It wasn't just for older mystics. It wasn't. They basically put the secret out there. Not a secret anymore. You know, the Kabbalah was a secret for years. You had to be a rabbi to get there. A lot of people were pissed at them in that world. So the Zohar text, says the ego, the goal is not to entirely destroy the ego, but transform, tame, or correct it. How do you feel about that?
Hmm. Why?
Because the ego is gonna make you beep your horn at the dude that's going in front of you really slow. And if you don't do that and you just take your time and you say, okay, when he goes fast, you're taming your ego not to act.
So the Zohar teaches you how to tame the ego?
Yes. Yeah.
What's the purpose though? Like why? Why would they want to do that?
Um, so I'm not bringing in Freud or anything, like this is just, because I don't think they were thinking about Freud, when they
No,
wrote
no,
this
this is Old
1005.
Testament. This is Torah,
Yeah,
five
yeah,
books of Moses.
yeah. Um,
But they didn't think that the ego is evil.
yeah, they did because
I was gonna say it's evil.
yeah, but you could tame it to be good. You could, instead of beeping your horn at the person and giving them the finger, you could just let it pass, and you've tamed your ego. But it takes practice to get there.
So let me tell you, I'm thinking about like I'm gonna use an Aristotelian term, the teleology,
Okay.
the end. What's the point of that? Like, what is the point in the final analysis?
Um,
Why would you want to tame your ego?
because your ego, not Freud, not Jung. could get you into trouble. It could get you angry. It could get you um into a fight with somebody. It could get you to, lose your job. But if you tame it and constantly like destroy it or chip away at it, it's not going to be as powerful. That's the Kabbalah theory.
Mm.
What do you think of that?
Interesting. But it's not for spiritual connection with God?
Um, it could be.
Okay.
It depends when the way I took it. This is how I took it. You know what
Right,
I
but
mean?
it's not like so the ego is it like an obstacle to God? Because the Jewish believe in God.
Yeah.
Is it an obstacle? Like I would
Ah,
say like you would read the Zohar to become closer with God.
right, right. And the ego would get in the way. But
Right.
I'm talking about using the Zohar in everyday purpose,
Hmm.
not in the traditional sense. Like this is why the Bergs brought it out for every for laymen
But that
to
doesn't
use.
sound like common sense to you. Like just
Um, well, not everybody could control your ego.
all right, all right, all right. Maybe I
Because
think maybe I
think
think too
about it.
highly. Maybe I think too
Think
highly of people.
think about it. I mean, how many people have just tomorrow when you see somebody when you're driving honking their horn or somebody yelling at somebody? That's ego driven.
No, like you're saying, yeah, you said anger is a result of that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And it's kind of interesting though because I know with the Kabbalah, there's a lot of secrets in the Old Testament,
Yeah,
right? They kind of reveal it in the book, the
yeah,
Zohar being the foundational text.
yeah.
So, um, do you know like where this all came from? Like, where did this all come from?
Nobody knows.
You
You
don't
know,
think
it's
it's like knowledge from the devil or something,
no, no, I
or
don't
some
think
evil
so.
spirit?
No, I don't think so. There are spells in it, believe it or not. There's stuff
Well, if
in
I
it.
can throw another religion at you, like a little Occam's razor. No, no, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Uh, Devil's advocate. Where does Jesus enter the picture?
Um, with this, well, they're Jewish, so they're not. He's not going to be in it.
So don't you think that's problematic?
Um, when
No,
it
no, let
comes
me
to
tell you. In the New Testament, now the Kabbalah is based on the Torah, right?
yeah,
Okay. Jesus says, I am the law of Moses. I am the Torah
right.
to the Pharisees and the Jewish community at the time. So if he's the law of Moses, is it
Mm,
possible that you reach what you're talking about through him only?
could be.
So why would you need the Kabbalah?
Well, for me, I'm using it the way I was like Kabbalah for dummies. You know what I mean? It's
Okay.
basically like the
You should write a
Bergs.
book on it.
The way,
If
no,
you
no, the way Michael Berg taught it
right.
was you're teaching, you're going to the real Zohar. You're getting heavy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
He,
okay. I'm sorry. Okay. No, I
he
see what you
like
mean. It's
he's
more
not
no,
it's
no.
practical.
What it sounds like okay. And I maybe I'll be honest with you. I have a positive view of people. I assume that they have control of their egos.
They don't.
But you've lived more years than me, so I guess that's something that I have to. I was talking to someone very special about that. Like I assume the best in people. I think this should be common sense, but
But
it's not.
just look at the world.
It's true. It's true.
And
I see the world. My ego is. Maybe I could talk about my version of the ego, what I think, but like I always think
well,
that man, there's common sense, and I think it's common sense for everybody. If it's common sense for me, so it seems to me
no, we don't have there's
like.
not everybody is like
Can,
us with common sense.
can I
You know
take an
what I mean?
example? I drive. I'm not an angry driver. I'm actually the driver that lets people pass. If
Yeah.
someone honks me and flips their middle finger at me, I'm like, good. I'm sorry that you're getting angry. Like,
Well, you have. tamed your ego
Right,
according to
right.
the Kabbalah.
And that's thanks to psychology because I read a lot of Carl Rogers and Viktor Frankl, and these people had an impact on me on how to relate myself to others, how
Right.
to suppress my eye for em to provide empathy for others.
Well, while you did that, you tamed your ego.
So the Kabbalah teaches that through their traditions for
Yeah.
people that, like you said, Kabbalah for dummies.
Well, I'm saying that the Bergs could not teach what you were saying about the Zohar and stuff. I mean, the what did you say? Um, like the original Bible and
Hmm.
stuff. Um, the Torah. Like they're not going to. I mean, if you wanted to take a Zohar class and get
Right,
into it
right.
deeper, you could.
Well,
But it's
if I
because it's all for spiritual
right.
higher p power.
It's interesting because if we can take it to religion real quick, aside detour, the
Yeah,
Kabbalah Zohar in a way is similar to the Gnostics. And
very much.
there's a theory that Solomon, uh, there's a theory. It's kind of a fun theory that I love. It was already around.
Yeah,
Solomon was the one that started it.
yeah,
Why he got this? Because he got divine wisdom from God, but used it for bad
right.
after. So he wrote all these thoughts, but they were all over the place. So a lot of Jewish teachers that came across this, it wasn't until much later, Middle Ages, where a Spanish rabbi, mystic, got it, put it
Yeah,
together as a, like you said, it's like in Christianity, there's a mystic tradition too.
yeah, yeah.
It's intense. It's really
Oh, oh
intense.
yeah, yeah,
Kind of scary. Like I'd rather avoid it because they talk about obliteration of the ego.
yeah.
And I don't want to obliterate my ego. I mean, I know
No,
that's
no.
cowardly, but apparently to get close to God, you got to obliterate your ego. So there are certain mystics, fantastic writing, St. John of the Cross, St. Teresa of Avila, St. Faustina Kowalska, that talk about that you need, and here's another creepy idea, you need to suffer for others. And I'm like, I don't want to.
Right,
But
right.
that is suppression of the ego. Very similar to like Kabbalah, like that intense spirituality
Well,
and
the
mysticism.
thing about it, it's for me, I don't read the Kabbalah that much, the Zohar anymore, because it's too powerful for me.
Mm.
Way too, it works. It works. On me, it works. Things happen. Things have happened to me when I used it. Um, God, I wish there was another one. It was like sharing has a lot to do with it. You know, and I don't remember the concepts. It's been so long. Like collective sharing, they call it, I think. So for instance, if you go to Starbucks and there's somebody behind you and you say, go ahead, go in front of me. And you act like that all day long. You hold the door open for people. You're kind to people. If somebody's an asshole to you, you don't react back with negativity and you see them change.
It's funny, I that's the way I act. But
Well,
psychology taught it to me.
psychology taught that, but this is the same
And
thing
religion. But
the
in a
same
way.
thing with the Kabbalah, you know?
Oh, so get
And
something interesting. It kind of sounds to me like pop psychology or religion.
when you do these things, well, probably sound like that too to you.
It does. I'm like,
Yeah,
this is
yeah,
common
yeah.
sense. Like, why do I need to read the Kabbalah for that?
But when you do use these things, it karma kind of comes back to you.
Something manifests.
You're manifesting
So it's
things.
like there are energies, and I know the Kabbalah talks about this intense order of the cosmos as a cosmology, but stuff happens.
Stuff happened to me a lot for the positive. I remember
It's very
doing,
similar to Crowley's "Do What I Will," where it stuff
yeah,
has happened.
yeah. When I studied the Kabbalah, and Crowley studied the Kabbalah, by the way,
I do
so
wonder
hard.
how much of that influenced his Thelema religion.
I definitely did.
I think it did.
It did a lot. Crowley, he studied a lot from the Zohar. Um, and I would see things happen. I get promotions at my job, money, get checks in the mail, get more gigs. I'm like, wow, I'm manifesting this shit
Mm.
through the Kabbalah. And it left a scary impact on me. I put the book down for a while, you know. Um, so let me just move on to other stuff. with the
Wait, do you
Kabbalah.
want to do like a part one here or want to keep going?
Let me finish the Kabbalah, and then we can do Christ consciousness next time.
I love that. I love that because we got really esoteric, dude.
Oh, God.
We're gonna lose viewers, man.
Um,
For those fans, David Lynch, if you watch this, shout out to you.
yeah,
You get this
I
spot.
know.
David Lynch is gonna
Um,
be like, guys, you guys blew my mind, man. For our viewers out there, no, we're not taking drugs. We're
Nope.
not on
This is
LSD.
just us studying. Kids, read books,
Yeah,
study,
seriously, read books.
open your mind. I'll
Listen
go
to
on it.
Stormcock and read Young.
Yeah, I'll go into a Cheech rant. Open your mind up.
Yes.
Study spirituality. Everybody we
Well,
named,
we're kind of like Gandalfs, where we have acquired knowledge, and
yeah,
people come to us and we're like, "Yeah, okay,
yeah,
you want to know secrets of life? We got you."
exactly. Like everybody we named tonight, we covered heavy duty people.
Hmm.
Freud, Jung, Einstein, um, William James, John Paul Sartre, most of the philosophers, psychologists, and even people we didn't even study. Rollo May, Viktor Frankl. We talked about their techniques. Now we're getting into the Zohar. This is stuff you really should study to have a better life. And now in 2026, you really need to study the old psychology,
I agree.
not the new bullshit. And even further back, study the Zohar. Really go back, study the mysticism, study Thelema, if you want to learn, certain kind of things to be a better person, I think.
That's why
Um,
I would go not for Lima. Okay,
see,
I have a devil's advocate opinion. I
well,
would
see,
say,
okay, let me just say, okay, I'll give you my big philosophy studies.
but you know what's funny? Our viewers have two types of teachers. You got me, and they got you. So
Yeah,
you're like Dumbledore, I'm Gandalf, or
right.
you're Gandalf, I'm Dumbledore.
My thing is, I studied the Kabbalah and the Zohar to work on my ego.
And it's funny. I studied Frankel, Rogers, Albert Ellis, all the psychotherapists, Freud too, for my
Yeah.
to develop my ego.
Um,
And religion is the unifier, Christ.
right, right. Always religion, religion first, Christ always first. Um, but when I got to the Kabbalah, I really learned how to tame my ego by doing that. So Kabbalah, when I see Kabbalah, Zohar, it's about ego. Michael Berg, look the guy up, the Berg family. They brought it to the norm because before them, you could not study the Kabbalah. It was like illegal. Now, Crowley, we've talked about this. Conditioned will, true will. That's why I studied Thelema. Basic for me. That's the basics of Thelema. Follow your true will. Don't follow your conditioned will.
You're gonna laugh, man. Dude, it sounds like pop psychology. Like it's strange.
I know, like for me, that's what I got out of it when I
Wow.
studied it in the basic facts. Let me just a couple more things on the will on the Kabbalah. Um, the ego is a desire to receive for oneself alone that is necessary for life, but must be shifted from self-centeredness to desire to share with others and the Creator. So there's your God connection right there.
Hmm.
Okay. The ego is the material of creation itself to invert its direction to a higher goal rather than eliminate it. So those are more facts on
Hmm.
the ego and the Kabbalah. So God, we covered a lot tonight. Insane, insane stuff.
Hmm.
People like listen to us. We're spitting out the truth.
I hope we don't sound crazy.
But like
No.
you know, to people that know this stuff or want to learn, I think we're making sense. We make a lot of sense. So and then we'll end here and we'll get into Christ consciousness. So God, we covered so much shit, man. It's
I know.
insane.
I know. And it's crazy
Um,
because I guess, and maybe we can end a question for you. Like, so what ego theory do you take? Like, what drives you?
well, just like I always went with Crowley. Do what I will.
I feel like that's your ego. Do what I will. Or no,
Well, that's my philosophy.
that guides your ego.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. But the Kabbalah, the Zohar, it's
I
just super.
remember since day one when I met, you mentioned that the
Yeah.
Kabbalah. And there was another thing that you read about manifesting,
Oh, that was the Hermetic laws.
the Hermetic law. So you
Yeah.
let these mystic traditions, esoteric, guide your ego.
Yeah. So the
Now, for
Hermetic
you, where
laws,
did your ego come from?
um,
Where have you always thought your ego came from?
where'd it come from? Probably from my parents being brought up a good person,
Okay.
like, because you could be brought up like in a like, bad situation and have your ego destroyed. Like,
Right, right.
you know, I think our upbringings help our ego, help us have a good ego. Um, like angry people, right?
Yeah.
Their ego, they're brought up in an angry household and they're angry and they're
Mm,
pissed off every day. Could you imagine like being pissed
I
every
know,
day?
every day. That's
I
sad.
see this every day.
They would have to read the Kabbalah to help them.
Yeah. Like I see this at the temple every day.
Yeah, there's some
Certain
very
people,
angry.
they're just
It's so
pissed.
it's crazy because I take a no, I want to ask you no. So Cheech, no, what theory of ego have you always subscribed to? Like that, maybe that's a better question.
Kabbalah.
The Kabbalah's view of the ego. That's
Yeah.
interesting. That is,
Yeah.
it's crazy because that's not far off from what Catholicism theology says about that. It's crazy because in the Catholic tradition, it's kind of split. See, I'm more Aquinas Aristotelian.
Mhm.
Honestly, maybe we can get that next episode, the Christ consciousness. I can talk
Yeah.
about Aristotle's view of the ego,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
which we didn't even talk
Oh,
about.
yeah, oh God.
No, that's a whole nother topic. But for me, like one of the things that I don't know if this is in some, but definitely from religion. One of the things that helps the ego is humility and gratitude.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So what I don't
Yeah.
know if that's in the Zohar, but what I do was this,
Oh, it's in there. Yeah.
and I
Well, it's
learned this. I
sharing.
took Christ's teachings.
When I mentioned the
I tell
uh
people that's the secret to a happy ego. Gratitude and humility.
well, there's this quote, uh let me go. The ego is desire to receive for oneself alone that is necessary for life, but must be shifted from self-centeredness to the desire to share with others and the creator.
Oh, okay. So that's that. Well, we talk. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. So yeah. So I've always said, for example, for people, you're angry. One of the cure for being angry, instead of saying, this sucks, saying thank you.
Yeah.
Change your language because that will literally change your ego just
Oh
by
yeah.
waking up and saying life is good. I always tell people, "How you doing?" They're saying, "How you doing, Manny?" Life is good.
Yeah.
And that's like my mantra, like, thanks so,
Yeah.
and I add thanks be to God, like,
Right, right.
but
You're
that
always up, you're always upbeat. Now, I got to work on my ego again. It's been destroyed over the
you've been
past.
our viewers out there, he's been in Schopenhauer's world.
Yeah, my ego has been destroyed over the past 6 years. If
I
people know
I don't know
me,
how your ego is still standing.
I
You're
know after.
Jaco Pastorius, you are a bass player.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Jocko's in my ego. Believe
Yeah.
me, you know.
I wonder if you're
Uh,
wearing your Jocko mask right now.
yeah, yeah. When
It's
I'm on
funny. It's funny
stage.
at the temple when I see you, you put on the temple. You're like,
Oh yeah, if I told the
yeah,
customer
you're in
or
the
I really,
locker. You pull out that temple mask. You're like,
yeah. Well, I don't really put the temple mask on. I'm always myself. If you think about it, when I go in, I mean, I have
have
to
you
be.
noticed how many people put on masks there though?
Oh, everyone has a fucking mask on
Like only one you can trust is Frenchie. Um,
because he's his true, authentic self.
yes, everybody has a mask. Like I would
Or
say,
we have our friends, who we can trust.
yes,
You know,
yes, but everyone
um,
has like usually a mask.
yeah, and it's all a fake mask, and it's going towards.
Especially how the priests treat you. It's all masks.
Oh, it's all masks, and it's all about business. They don't care about you really.
Well, not even business, metrics.
Yeah. They don't like deep down care about you. Some do. I'm not gonna say all of them don't. Some do. I know one person that really does. But it's a business and there's masks and there's a lot of fakeness and that would affect your ego.
Right.
But coming from the Kabbalah, if you've tamed it, you would show kindness and yes, yeah, you know what I mean? Like when somebody who's the biggest, pain that we all gets on, who disrupts our ego, right? If we treat, if we don't let that person affect our ego, it also like it shows that we're stronger than that person. You know what I mean?
I always believed in that. And you know who taught that?
Jesus Christ.
What did he say? If someone wants to steal your cloak, give them your other tunic. If someone slaps you on the cheek, give them your other side
Yeah,
for
yeah,
happiness. And that's
yeah.
what you do.
Love your enemy,
Love your
that kind of
enemy.
thing.
Yeah.
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 You know, I did that recently with a particular person.
And we'll talk about next week, Christ consciousness, which is a
Yeah,
whole nother thing that your ego is getting replaced.
yeah. Like I told you, a certain person came in I do not get along with, and this person wasn't going to even look at me, but I actually put my hand out, and we have a bad reputation together. But I was like, how are you doing? And my ego made me do that. Christ consciousness made me do that. I could have looked the other way, said "fuck you," but without saying "fuck you."
Right. And
So I'd
yeah,
rather be.
you
I'd rather,
chose you read the Kabbalah where you're practicing it.
yeah. And that's why, and that's weak in this world. You're weak.
Very, very.
You're a weak person if you give in. You're a weak. You got to fight back. You got to fight. No,
No.
no, you don't. That's why the Kabbalah, I think everyone should just study a little bit of it because it's very important to help tame your ego. For me, the Kabbalah and Aleister Crowley and the Hermetic laws,
Yeah.
I followed
I,
them for years. And Jesus Christ, obviously.
I go opposite. I think uh um religious traditions and great philosophy and psychology for me.
Right, yeah. Well, you're academic. You're really smart.
Yeah, yeah, no, no, that's a good point. Like I'm the academic side, you're the
Yeah.
mystic side. Is this you're like Dumbledore? I'm Gandalf. Oh, maybe
Yeah.
you're Gandalf. I'm Dumbledore.
I got more into the mystical side of things in
Right.
my
And then
in
you
my
have but we arrived almost at the same conclusions,
oh,
different route.
because you
And
could
you know what united us? Religion, Christ.
oh always. But you don't
And rock and roll and rock.
oh, of course. You could take the different paths but wind up in the same place. Look
Right.
at ways.
Well,
You know what I
well,
mean?
seriously, for Robert Frost, two paths diverged in the wood, and I took the one less traveled on. You as well, and we met on.
Exactly. So whatever philosophies we study, they help us become better people.
That's
That's
cool.
that's that's the
Awesome.
bottom line, you
Yeah, man.
know. Um,
We should do like classes on esotericism, like in
I'm
our show.
telling you, man, like
Like,
study Thelema, study the Kabbalah, study the Hermetic laws, and things will manifest. They do manifest, Study obviously the Bible, study all the great psychologists we mentioned, all the great philosophers. Um, but yet, like for 6 years, I've been really Schopenhauered out because of there's been no Kabbalah
yo,
in my
your
life.
Kabbalah is testing you right now, man.
I
Your
know.
learnings and teachings.
I've been Camus. I've been like on the Albert Camus.
No, right now you are existential right now. So Camus, you're rolling that stone up. You keep coming down.
Yeah.
You are living Schopenhauer's world where the world is will and really testing you.
Yeah.
Doesn't care about you.
Yeah. You
Um,
know,
Start a little bit, man. You're just existing. Like,
exactly. I've gone from the Kabbalah and all that stuff to Schopenhauer and all, but that'll change. But it just the fact like we're studying and talking about Schopenhauer and Camus, like people need to know this. This is like why this show is so important.
yeah, we would
Yeah.
offer that first guiding out of the cave and then keep going.
Yeah,
And two different
yeah,
routes. They got you with the mysticism and me
yeah.
with like philosophy. If anything, my approach is philosophy, theology, psychology.
Yeah,
That's my three approaches.
yeah.
And the thing that wraps it around is a sense of like the religious, but especially um the Bible and Christ. I think that's
Oh, that's what it
ultimately
all leads to, like being like Jesus.
right.
You know, there's nobody else you should be like.
You
The most
love the
kindest.
man, you love the
Yeah,
one that suffered for you.
yeah. You know, but everybody in this world is ego driven. Going back to the classic textbook.
And when we talk about Christ consciousness, you're forgetting you have the ego, but you also have the heart.
Hmm.
That's another component that we didn't talk about that a lot of people left out.
Yeah,
The ego and the heart. So Christ puts in a new heart inside your ego. But
yeah,
that's we'll talk about in the Christ consciousness.
yeah, yeah. But when
And
you,
soul. And dude, you're forgetting the soul. That's a
oh,
whole
that's a
nother.
whole,
We'll
yeah, a
talk
whole
about it
nother.
next week, guys. Like
Some
that.
people think the soul doesn't exist.
Well, that's and it's funny. You know what? Do you know what psychology means in its own Greek term?
No,
Psychologia, study of the soul.
right.
That was psychology's purpose, to study the soul of the human.
Well, like now in science, they don't believe in the soul because they
Oh
can't
no,
see
dude,
it.
it's thrown apart. And philosophy has rejected it, thanks to David Hume and empiricism and skepticism. Actually, Descartes to blame for this, where he kind of denied everything except
Yeah,
his ego. That's a whole
yeah.
nother story. Man, I went up in a can of worms, but
Ego's everywhere in philosophy and psychology.
it's a
Yeah,
major thing. And actually, I even talk about phenomenology, intentionality, how
yeah,
you are your ego, how you are intentionally with somebody or something, your
yeah,
relationship. That defines what it is,
yeah.
or
I
what it is
mean,
to be. All right, we even talk about ontology, being. What does it mean to be?
yeah. Oh my God.
And
It's
there,
like
we can go so many different routes here, but dude,
I know this is heavy. You
we're gonna
know, we've
rest
been
easy. We deserve a little rest. We talked about a
yeah.
hard album, Stormcock, and we succeeded.
I know, dude. How do we get through one of the most difficult albums to break
And having
down?
fun. Like I thought
Yeah.
it was engaging.
We just did Stormcock before this Roy Harper album. We broke down two of the songs or three of the songs, and then it was complex, and then we just did a whole thing on ego, and like you got so heavy with some of the stuff,
I
and
know, and then dude, I'm just dude, do you know I'm just scratching the surface?
oh, I know. I
That is
mean,
nothing.
yeah,
I can go deeper because, for example, like with Freud, you didn't even talk about the Oedipal complexes or electrical complexes, which
right with
affect the
mom and
ego.
dad. Yeah,
How
yeah, that does affect.
he said that this is actually the unresolved childhood conflicts and the psychosexual developmental stages,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
explains more for serial killers. Like I was like kind of like keeping it simple, but
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, when it comes to the psychology part of it, I'm a Freud guy.
I
I
think you know what's
oh
funny. I like Freud too. I think his theory has a lot. I feel like we have to fix it, or me personally, I want to fix it
well,
where he you should include religion back into Freud. Freud was an atheist, so he rejected it.
yeah,
You gotta also, it's true. Like this is really cool. You know how he said that we have an id, right? Do you know why that id is there inside the ego
no.
or inside the mind? Because of original sin. We're darkened. So you need to
Mm.
learn religion and that super, get this, that super ego is your prefrontal cortex, your reason, your
Right,
high decision making that is a gift given by God.
right,
A-
right.
And the ego is your soul. It's you. So we just got to fix this theory and make it, me
A-
personally, but
Apollo,
I want to,
reason.
no, seriously, but I want to one day write a book fixing a lot of theories and like
Yeah.
fixing, adding a little
Well,
tweaks.
the reason why Freud stuck with me so much is as a young kid in college, I didn't think of this shit. When you're 18, you're not thinking of your ego.
Who is?
You're not thinking like, what's my ego? So I took psychology in college, and I remember we studied Freud, and I remember, the Oedipus Rex. I found that interesting. Like, oh,
Oedipus,
okay, wait,
Oedipus, yeah, the Greek tragedy,
yeah,
how um the so weird. And I wonder if it's true if a guy really is in love with their mother. Freud came up with this
yeah,
based on
like
the Greek tragedy.
right.
I
I
don't know if you
remember.
think that's true, but it could be true for serial killers.
Well, no, I think you want a quality of in a good woman, the quality of your
Well,
mom.
you know, the tragedy of the male, and there's another like very psychoanalytic theory is that one of the reasons why males get into so much arguments with their women is because they're trying to make their woman like their mothers.
Right, right, right,
So it's a tragedy. So Freud, what he was trying to say is that the son is jealous of the father because the child wants all the mother's love for him.
right, right, right.
So he has to resolve those conflicts.
Yeah.
Kind of interesting.
It's
Um,
very, yeah.
eh,
But like for me, when they said Freud came up with this thing, ego and superego, it resonated. I'm like, what? There's three parts to your mind?
right, right.
And
But did you believe it wholeheartedly?
and they used the example of a serial killer not having those parts. And then it stuck. And I'm like, that makes sense. Because the id, the ego, and the superego control the way you act.
Hmm.
And if somebody who's off is going to be fucked, they're going to, they're going to be like going to prison. They're going to be doing bad things to people. And as an 18-year-old, I got that concept and I never forgot it.
Hmm.
And I didn't study psychology till years later, but it always stayed with me.
Hmm.
And when you're 18, like I said, you're not thinking about your ego. Your ego is like, you're on the football team, go Rams. You're gonna, we have to win. We got to be the best. But like as a Kabbalah test tomorrow, when you're at the gas station, look around. Look how many angry fucking people whose ego is not tamed. You know, people driving, fuck you, And of course, you got to chase. Sometimes they chase them. Road rage.
Yeah, yeah.
Total not. That is not having a tamed ego. That's somebody whose ego's completely bruised, fucked, destroyed. That you have to chase a person in your car that cuts you
I know
off.
that's so sad.
And what is that from? An ego, a problem with your ego,
Right.
you know? And you're going to see more of that. Or who's next? Oh, I was here first. I was here first.
Right, right. Well, that's selfishness. That's a selfish ego.
Right,
It's funny. It's so funny. It's just like pop psychology. It's like common sense.
Yeah, but you could, like we said when we work at the temple, we could just study people and analyze them. You taught me how to analyze people.
Hmm.
You know, um, I was talking to somebody. I was like, this particular new person that works there, who you saw, and I was like, oh, I wish Manny was here so we could analyze this guy. I'm trying to figure him out. Like I don't.
I'm telling you, I can tell when someone has something to hide.
Like kids get off the fucking video games. I
Some
think they're destroying your
kids come
brain.
out Fortnite, analyze people.
Yeah, I think I was telling Ernest, I wish Manny was here. We could figure out what's wrong with this person.
You can tell when something's wrong with
You want to really study psychology? Work at the temple.
It's
Work
Wicked the
at
Temple. There's a lot of people. There's few psychologically healthy people there.
Yeah, and
Uh,
it's
but
all
just
ego.
code names. Who would be healthy? Maybe Ernest. Our boy Ernest might be healthy.
He's healthy.
He's joyful.
Yeah,
Hector. I don't think he would never watch this show, but he seems healthy.
he's a happy guy,
Um,
healthy.
um, who else?
I can't think of anyone else
Your
who.
department is full of kooks.
Yeah, I know.
Selfish egos, dude. Out
Oh
for
God.
themselves. Gosh.
Oh God.
Make people disheartened.
It's even like the customers too.
Oh gosh. Yeah,
Like
working.
if you didn't have an ego, why the fuck would you have to ask them, is this thin enough?
I know.
You know? Is this thin enough?
Yeah,
No, it should be thinner.
dude, you know what's funny? When I see customers do that to you, I say to myself, really?
And my
Why?
id,
Why do you
my
want it? Am I thinking like, why do you want it thin? There are kids in Africa that are starving.
I know. And if you no, that's not right. That has to be thinner. And you're sitting there going, now that's an ego person. That someone that needs to study the fucking Zohar
It's
and
crazy when
tame their
someone,
ego.
yeah, when someone cuts my ham and they're like, is this all right? Dude, I don't care. Do it. You're working, man. You tell me. All
The
good.
the best people are like, do it your way.
That's what I do. And when they want to, they give me a sample. I'm like, oh, thanks, man. Like you didn't have
Yeah,
to do
yeah,
that.
yeah, exactly. And you got to deal with these people. And I've been dealing with
Oh,
it for
oh,
28 years.
has this happened to you when you go over and they're like, yo, it's too much? Take some off.
Oh yeah,
That
yeah,
is so when that happens to me, I'm like, no, it's all good. Give it to
yeah.
me. All good.
No, or there's some people that are like you. I mean, working in prepared foods is a good way to learn about society, working
Yes.
with the public,
Yes.
because you're dealing with 90% of people are good people. Then that other 10%,
Yeah,
they're
they're
just
just oh,
complete.
that's they're so rough. That's all it takes to ruin, like if you let it.
Well, that's where the Kabbalah for me came in, tame my ego,
And for me, that's where psychology and philosophy comes in because I
right?
realize that people are angry.
Yeah, or somebody be like, well, a manager would
Well,
come up to me, that
well,
customer just complained about you.
yeah, and you do realize like the people who are like that. One of mine, I always tell you this, they hate themselves. If you have a lot of love for yourself, you don't act like that.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
probably have like crappy marriages. Maybe they're single
Oh,
because they suck.
yeah, yeah,
And they
yeah.
have to take it out on the poor temple worker who's just there trying to make the way I see it, and I also learned this from having a mindset, right? For your fellow human beings, that you have to recognize the other egos and eyes. It's not just about you. And every person, like really, you really have to, and I guess from experience, and this is where philosophy comes in, wisdom. I worked and you've worked in these jobs and we experience, awfulness. And then we
Yeah.
go back. I don't treat the fast food worker horribly.
No,
I
they're
said,
working hard.
like you guys are. I'm like, I've been there. I get what you guys are
Yeah,
going. Like, like I'm not gonna be like the asshole customer. I said no cheese. Like,
yeah. Let, let
really?
me let me tell you a story. When I was really into the Kabbalah, I used to wear a red string, and that was now the Kabbalah has to deal with preventing the evil eye.
Right.
You don't want anybody to send any evil at you, so you wear the red string. And I had the red string on. I was really into the Kabbalah. I'd go to work. I would do these Kabbalah like chants to myself. So I'd go in there like ready to have my ego tamed. This fucking lady comes in. She is just attacking me. You're doing everything wrong. That's going on. And I'm just like, ma'am, I'm sorry. I'm like, ma'am, I'm sorry you're having such a bad day. I hope it gets
Sorry, you
better
hate
for you.
yourself.
I said, I'm sorry you're having a bad day. This is me now. And I said, I'm really sorry. I hope you have a better day. She started crying. She was like, oh my God, I'm sorry I'm being so mean to you and you're being so kind to me. This is when I was really into the Kabbalah.
Mm.
And she was like, oh my God, I am having a bad day. I shouldn't take it out on you. You're just doing your job. Like, I got somebody to like, convert over just by being kind,
Right.
you know? And it was like now I don't do that anymore. Now I just like,
You just gave up.
I just take the abuse,
You're
you
like,
know.
"Ugh, ugh."
It's
You
like it's
come
like
out
a
with battle
it's like
scars. Like,
stone. It's like stone.
you come out there with bandages and it was like,
But now they come looking for me. Now they're like they don't want certain people to wait on them. I
right.
hate that. It's like, does Cheech work today? Or oh, there he is. I'll wait for him. I'm like, oh God, yeah, you always do it right. At 30 years. Or I'm about to go on break and then somebody comes in. I need 5 pounds of turkey. It's my friend. I'm like, oh, I got you.
Oh,
I don't worry.
dude, my
Uh,
mother from day one, you said you were the best. I always went to you.
yeah, I always,
'Cause a lot of people in your department were not nice.
no, I mean, and it's like you gotta be nice. You
I
gotta
know.
be nice. You're there for 8 hours. You're serving the public. That's why I teach my kid. Sometimes my kid gets frustrated with these people, and I'm just like, no, they're doing their job.
Doing jobs, yeah, honestly.
I mean, it's a little more difficult in today's society with the mentality of the people we work with.
Right, right.
Intelligence isn't there anymore, you
Oh no,
know.
dude. I'll be honest with you, few know are wise anymore. And
No.
but yeah, man. But
I know on that
on
note, it's
that
been,
note,
so we got so much in this episode. I love
yeah.
it, man. And
I
this
hope
is
you
all
enjoyed, everybody. I hope you enjoyed. This is the
uh,
Cheech and Manny show. This is what we do. We have these great conversations, and I hope you come away learning something. All right, I
yeah.
think we have a lot of wisdom, so.
And this was just Manny texted me. I have a great idea from the metal table.
Mhm.
That's one of our
And no, and
secret.
next week we should get into, I'll probably debate you or question you. Do you think the ego's evil?
Yeah.
You kind of mentioned already with the cabal, but that's more like, but generally speaking, right? We'll talk about it next week.
Yeah.
But that's how the idea came to me. I'm like, this is an esoteric episode idea.
Well, what I did was when I saw it, I was really tired and I came home. I was laying in bed and I'm like, we'll just do a free talk. I'm like, fuck this. I got this energy. I said, I'm writing. I'm gonna quiz Manny on this. I'm gonna
Yo, did I
write
pass the quiz?
you, dude. You went beyond the. You taught me. This was like a college course.
Yeah,
I said, let me write. Let me write questions, and I'm going to throw them at Manny, and I know where this is going to go. I know where it's going. It's going to go all over the place,
right,
and
right.
it's going to take us to John Paul Sartre. It's going to take us to Freud. It's going to take us to
Yeah,
Jung, and we're
start
going to
was not planned. I had to
no.
mention it because of the free will aspect
Yeah, and I didn't know that was Sartre. I
and the
just took,
existentialism.
yeah, I just took ideas that I researched,
Yeah,
and
existentialists wrestle with that idea of free will, but that's a whole nother topic. But
yeah. Well, oh, I'm going to write a whole episode on the existentialist.
we should, and we should start with
Kierkegaard.
Kierkegaard, my
Yeah,
favorite. You'll
yeah.
love him because he talks
No,
about.
I studied some of his
I
stuff.
love Kierkegaard is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
He's very funny but very dark.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but yeah,
But
man, dude, this was a lot of fun. My brain is gonna rest easy tonight.
yes, shut it
Definitely.
off.
That's it,
Yeah,
man. That's it. I'm just gonna put something dumb. Like let's
yeah. Sometimes it's good to just read No David over and over.
dude, now I get the kids with their brain rot. I'm like, all right, let me do some brain rot. Like,
Yeah. I wonder if No David ever got a super ego that ever
oh no,
developed.
no, David is it, man. He's this manifestation of that.
Yeah,
Scary. He always scared me, but I love that book.
yeah. But I think Frenchie is such a what a great
Frenchie,
subject.
I know you wouldn't well, I don't know if you would appreciate this if you're watching, but yeah, Frenchie is a great case study because it's actually pretty fantastic in our examples.
I mean, he's almost robotic. He's,
Yeah, no, he's literally operating on something, and we kind of we're looking at that on many different levels. I mean,
yeah.
Frenchie has no personality,
But he's so
but
intelligent.
he operates on like that mind. Like again, he's not
Yeah.
wearing a mask. He's operating
But
on
he has a super ego because he'll ask you,
yes,
"How's everything? How's your family?" He'll know the names of your
which got
kids.
instilled in him because of his family
Yeah,
or wherever he learned it from.
yeah.
But yeah,
But if you fuck with him and you get him off track,
mhm.
he's all id. He'll get
Right.
id on your ass in a second,
Oh, dude, for sure,
you know.
for sure.
So yeah, he's a great case study. But anyway, Manny, great night tonight of podcasts. And
Mhm.
till next time, man. Nanu, nanu.
Dude, Nanu, Nanu. I'll see you back outside the proverbial cave of
Yeah.
Plato's cave. This was a
Plato's
lot of
Cave.
fun, dude.
It was.
And I'll catch you in the next one, man.
Definitely. Take
All right,
care.
brother.
All
Have a
right.
good night.
Have a good night.